Hello and welcome to Unprofessional Engineering. My name is James.
You got Luke. Nobel Prize winning Luke Mihalsic.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
I think that it is not accurate, but I like the enthusiasm.
The effort. A for effort.
A for effort. Also, A for Alfred Nobel.
What?
The person who founded the Nobel Prize.
You were so sharp this morning.
Thank you.
That was good.
We're taking a look at the history of the Nobel Prize, and I think there's no better way to kick that off than to talk about the life of Alfred Nobel to begin. What do you think?
I like that.
All right. So Alfie, as I call him, because
Alfie.
we're boys, was born in Stockholm in October
Sweden?
of 1833. Now, before we get into his life, let's talk about his father, Emmanuel. Emmanuel Nobel. Emmanuel Nobel.
Okay.
Why do we want to talk about him? Because he was an engineer and inventor who built bridges, which was pretty cool, right?
Of course.
Due to his misfortunes in the construction work, because some bridges fell and some barges lost equipment and stuff, he became bankrupt, and that was the same year that Alfie was born. In 1837, they left Stockholm, and they headed to St. Petersburg, where they had a successful entrepreneurship there and started a mechanical workshop. Why was it successful? It provided weaponry to the Russian army and equipment.
Interesting.
Of course, right? And he convinced the Tsar that his naval mines that he was creating could be used to block enemy ships from threatening the city. So that was kind of cool. If you check out a picture of Emmanuel, he's like the grumpiest looking old man you'll ever see.
I feel like everybody from this time frame, when you look at a picture, looks really grumpy.
Yeah, and I think black and white kind of makes you grumpier looking. I don't know.
Sometimes I turn the black and white filter on, and I think it makes me look handsome.
Really?
Like whenever I'm doing like a selfie, I'm like,
Well, I think you're always handsome, Luke.
oh, thanks.
Yeah. So they would be anchored below the surface, and they did this in the Gulf of Finland, and they actually deterred the British Royal Navy from firing on St. Petersburg. So that was pretty nice, right? So back to Alfie.
Back
all right?
to Alfie.
So by 17, he was fluent in Swedish, Russian, French, English, and German. Much like you, right?
Much like me.
Unfortunately.
Minus all of them except for English.
And barely that.
Yeah.
So have you ever heard the Alfie song about the guy that plays Theon Greyjoy? It's by Lily Allen. That's his sister. It's funny. You should listen to it sometime.
So Theon Greyjoy, the fictitious...
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Apparently, he just would sit around smoking pot and like not leaving his room. And his sister like wrote a song about about what a lazy bum he was.
Alrighty.
Anyways, so Alfie liked poetry here, and his dad was like, "That's stupid. Ain't no son of mine gonna go write poems." And so he sent him off to study chemical engineering.
Like any good father should.
That's right. So after traveling the world, he decided Paris was the place to be, and along with Italian chemist Ascanio Sobrero.
Nailed it.
Thank you. He invented nitroglycerin. Did you know that?
Like the stuff that blows up?
Yeah, like the stuff that blows up. Did you know that?
I did not know
I
that.
didn't know that either. I feel like I
Wow.
should have. So it was considered too dangerous for any like practical use, of course.
Yep.
And it was much more powerful than gunpowder, so, accidents do happen. So in 1852, Alfie Nobel was asked to come back and work with the family. And so he did do that because, it was having to do with the army.
Yeah.
You know what army's like? Stuff
Stuff
that goes
blows
boom.
up.
That's right. So him and his father worked on some experiments with this nitroglycerin and tried to make it commercially available. Unfortunately, the wars ended.
Commercially available? What, are you going to buy this at Sears?
Well, like for the army to be mass-produced and whatnot.
I gotcha.
The war ends. When the war ends, the funds dry up.
They don't need bombs anymore.
Back to bankruptcy goes the Nobels. So it's really a roller coaster of like economics for these folks,
You ain't
right?
kidding.
And so they leave Russia and they go back to Stockholm and manage to put together yet another business. And again, these must be some really smart folks, right?
I tell you.
And they went on to develop the oil industry in the southern part of the Russian Empire.
I mean, you and I have put together how many businesses between the two of us?
17, 18?
None?
No, none.
Oh, none, that's right.
That's right, yeah. And they were super successful and became really wealthy. So that's really nice, right? So we continue. Alfie returns to Sweden in 1863. Concentrating on his nitroglycerin. A bunch of explosions happen in the city in 1864, he blew up his brother and a bunch of other people and killed them. So that's kind of unfortunate.
So glad you did all this research because
Why
I
are
didn't
you
do
laughing?
any of this.
You're
That's
laughing
awesome.
about him blowing up his brother.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, so the city was like, hey, man, this is too dangerous. You got to get out of here.
Get out.
So they kicked him out, and he did all of his experiments on a barge that was anchored out in some lake somewhere. So that was kind of interesting. But eventually, he figured out how to make nitroglycerin a little safer by turning it into a paste and shaping it into rods. And this was perfect for drilling holes and sticking in the ground.
That's what a stick of dynamite is.
That is what a stick of dynamite is. You are correct. And so this was perfect because he also created a detonator, which then you could stick it in the ground and blow up. And, there's a whole bunch of destruction that way.
Is nitro like the same stuff like whenever they talk about race cars like being nitro
Probably,
powered?
right?
I'm assuming it's
maybe
like a toned down or diluted version perhaps.
I bet it's probably the same. If somebody's listening, let us know because
I think it
we
is.
could Google it or you could Google it for us.
I could Google it.
Yeah. Well, let's not Google it. Maybe someone will tell us. So he creates dynamite. He creates blasting caps because why wouldn't you do that as well? And over the years, he founded factories and laboratories in 90 different places, 20 different countries. So pretty successful dude, right?
I'd say.
And so this is all just kind of like building up to show how the Nobel Prize then started. So he has all these businesses, all these companies. A bunch of the companies that Nobel founded actually still have prominent roles. So they're still around in the world today. Now, I don't know any of them because they're in different countries. The Imperial Chemical Industries, ICI, in Great Britain. I don't know what that is. I can't even pronounce the one in France. And then Dino Industries in Norway.
Okay.
I can only assume it has to do with dynamite.
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 You're too young to know what that's from.
I know it, though. What is it from, though?
Welcome back, Carter. I think.
Carter,
Welcome back, Carter. I think so.
So, anyways, he died in 1896. Obviously, he was pretty
From
wealthy.
dynamite?
It wasn't
No?
from dynamite.
No?
I think it was just from being old.
Oh.
But it would be a lot better story if he blew himself up along with his brother, right? So when his will was opened, it came as a big old surprise to the family that they're not getting all his fortune.
Getting nothing.
But it was to be used for prizes in physics, chemistry, physiology or medicine, literature, and peace.
So I heard, and I don't know if there was any proof in his will of this, but just through some of the different videos and some things, that he purposely did this because he felt that a lot of the things he did specifically with nitroglycerin was super destructive, and it had a negative impact on society, creating bombs and killing people and blowing up his bro. That he did this specifically, that a part of this was to fund like good research and humanitarian and research that actually, promoted not blowing people up, basically.
Yeah, he was big time against war. He was also big time into the arts. Like we said, he liked poetry and literature, and he wanted to actually major in that when he was young. So you're right. It was kind of like making up for what he'd done.
He was like, Daddy didn't let me.
That's exactly.
So I'm going to give money to other people.
Fun fact.
Kind of cool.
Fun fact for you. He actually thought that dynamite would end war altogether.
Like
so
how?
In his head, this is a quote from him. When two armies of equal strength can annihilate each other in an instant, then all civilized nations will retreat and disband their troops. So he thought because of dynamite being able to blow people up, everyone will just be like, yeah, let's just not go to war then so that we don't blow each other up.
So it's a stalemate, basically.
Right. He was wrong.
No, he was, because basically whoever has a little bit more wins is kind of how that it works.
Yeah. So before we move on to the actual Nobel Prize.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of stats.
Oh, I love stats. Let's take a break for a word from our sponsor.
I'm assuming that our sponsor is one of these companies that makes dynamite and or the Nobel Foundation itself.
We don't actually have a sponsor, but I did want to announce to everyone that we have been selected for the 2019 Nobel Prize in Podcasting.
I'll take it.
Okay.
I'm not even going to comment. I'll take it.
We do have a shout out, though. Jimmy B wrote in.
Good old Jimmy B.
And I quote, "Best podcast I have ever heard. Thank you for the enlightenment."
Okay, so how can this shout out be "we're amazing" and then John A., you know who you are, does not like me? How does that happen?
He just didn't like your point of view. He felt it was uneducated on the topic.
No, he said he didn't like me, I think is what he said.
Well,
I didn't see the email because you hide all these from me, and I think you're making most of them up.
I wouldn't say he said he didn't like you, but that's how I took it.
I want our listeners now to write in and complain about James, because all the complaints are about me. What I want everybody to do is go to write in to unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com, and I want to hear something negative about James that you don't like, because apparently they're only about me. I don't have access to the email. Also, you can get some stickers if you send in and say you want some stickers and you've subscribed. And we need some likes. We need some reviews, some comments, right?
Yeah, go on the iTunes, press the subscribe button. That's sweet, because then you can hear my sweet voice, which you're probably going to say you don't like, all the time. And you can also then give us a review. We're doing pretty well, almost 80 reviews right now.
We need a grassroots campaign to dog on you and not me. Just saying.
I don't understand why you're being so negative. I'm sorry your feelings are hurt. But let's move on.
John knows who he is.
Yeah, Nobel Prize.
Nobel Prize. Interesting. Ready? How many Nobel Prizes have been awarded?
I don't know.
590.
That's pretty many.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. That's a lot of them.
That's a way lot. So do you know the breakdown?
No, but I hope
Ready.
you're going to tell me.
Here's the breakdown. So there have been 112 in physics, 110 in chemistry, 109 in medicine, 110 in literature, peace 99, and coming up in last place, economic science. And I think the economic science and the peace were kind of added in at a different time, so I think that's why, or at least economics in particular, was added in later on. The original, I think, was just physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, and peace.
You were correct. So it took 5 years after his death to set this up. So he died, and then, what was it, in 1901 they started handing these things out? Is that about correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then, again, you were correct-ish, where physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, and peace were the originals. In 1969, the Servijus Riksbank Prize in Economics in honor of Alfred Nobel was developed. So that is why there's less of them.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty interesting. And how is this funded? Do you know? It's because he donated today's equivalent of $225 million, and the prizes come from the interest paid off from it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought so as well. Each award is decided in a separate fashion. Like, they all have, like, their different rules of how people win, all right? So the Peace Prize is decided by 5 members of the Norwegian Parliament, which seems kind of arbitrary
Makes
to
total
me.
sense.
Nobel Prize winners must be living. So these are all the rules that go along with it. There are no posthumous awards.
That's if you're the deads, right?
If you're the deads. But if you win it, like you're nominated and are selected and you die before receiving it, you still receive it. So
I'll take it.
yeah, so that's cool. Let's see.
Guess how many total laureates there are?
I don't know.
So there was 590 Nobel Prizes, but in a lot of cases, these prizes are shared by multiple individuals. In some cases, like for example, physics. There have been, of all the 112 physics Nobel Prizes, 47 of them were for one person, 32 of them were for 2, and 33 of them were shared by 3 or more people.
Really?
So in some cases, there's 590, but there's actually a total of 935 winners because of the shared, like, 3 people, like Marie Curie and her husband, and then the guy that invented it, Henry. All 3 got one Peace Prize for physics.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So that's why there's more of those.
Okay. So each year, the committee distributes... seems like the most absurd way to do this, by the way.
It's very
The
absurd.
committee distributes nomination forms to an undisclosed number of recipients, thought to be somewhere over 6,000. like past winners and prominent institutions and respected like people in the field that are experts, I guess we would say. And they're allowed to nominate as many people as they want. Self-nomination isn't permitted. The winner is decided by a simple majority vote. So I assume, someone's going to get more than one. But it would be funny if that's what the winning vote was. The prize proposals must be submitted before January 31st. So everybody listening, that's part of the committee. Get your vote in.
So what would we be under? Would we be peace or would we be economics and science? Or do you think we'd be under like one of the
I think we might be under literature.
Literature podcast is kind of literature.
I think so. I think if we were going to win, it would probably be for literature, physics, chemistry, medicine because of our MRI episode, and certainly peace.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that's all we do is promote peace.
We promote peace. Economics, because we don't charge any money, we're probably helping the economy. We might win one for each.
Yeah. Did you know that there were 49 times or 49 different years where there was no prize awarded in different
49 years?
49 different times that there wasn't a prize awarded over all of the different categories.
Interesting.
A whole bunch of it was during World War I and II, and that's because they were kind of busy working on defending countries and doing those sorts of things. So
I saw Hitler was saying that people like his German folks weren't allowed to accept them as well.
Yeah.
Which was interesting to me. Each prize right now is worth about 1.1 million US dollars, and that's changed over the years. It's been more or less at different times. And fun fact for you, the medals before 1980 were made out of 23 karat gold, and those after were, I don't even know what this is, 18 karat green gold plated with a 24 karat gold coating. So
I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know what green gold is, but
I guess they get it from Gringotts.
Yeah, probably from Gringotts.
Okay.
Yes, they steal it, Harry Potter style.
Just checking.
Let's see here.
Want some fun facts while you're doing a little research there?
One more thing. All the prizes except the Peace Prize are presented in Stockholm, Sweden, at the annual prize ceremony on December 10th. So it looks like we need to make sure our passports are up to date so that we can head over there.
Ooh, mine does expire this year. I got to update. Yeah, 2019.
That's
I think
expensive
it
to update
in December.
Too.
Yeah.
All right. What were some fun facts for you?
Guess. Don't look at my screen. Guess the youngest laureate.
24.
Nope. 17. Malala.
Wow. I don't know what a Malala is.
Malala is the, I believe she was the young, I think she was Afghan girl. She got it for the Peace Prize, and she was, so basically, she won it at age 17. She wrote the book, I think it was named after her, Malala. I probably should have done a little more research.
Probably.
But she's by far the youngest at 17 for peace, and then 25 is kind of the next one, not too bad. And most of them are, for the young folks, are in physics and science. So, like, on their list, 33 is the youngest for some Joshua Lendenberger for medicine. It's like, at 33, what was I doing? What were you doing at 30? Well, you're 33 now.
I'm not, but...
So, like, what were you doing at 33?
3 years ago. 3 years ago.
You would have won.
Wow.
All you got to do is study harder, James.
Wow.
And be a better person.
Well, that's interesting. 33 is really young. Yeah, I
that's
wasn't
very
doing
young.
much of any value.
You can't even be the president of the United States at age 33, and these cats are winning Nobel Peace Prizes and medicine prizes, and
yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy.
So before we go any further with all of this information, let's take a break for this week's Luke's Rant.
Okay, I normally try to keep my rant loosely related to our topic. That's pretty difficult with this one because neither one of us have any experience with winning a Nobel Peace Prize or anything that goes into it. So I'm just going to complain about car prices.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So I should get a Nobel Peace Prize for keeping my car as long as I have. So my wife has a 2005 Subaru Outback, has about a bazillion miles on it, and we haven't bought a brand new car in years. This thing is like 13 years old, and when we bought this car, totally loaded, it was like $24,000, and I thought it was like the most expensive thing ever. Have you looked at new car prices in like the last 5-10 years?
I have. I bought a new car in the past 5-10 years.
Stupid.
Well, yeah. Well, it depends what
like,
car.
But still, like, if you want a decent family car and you want all-wheel drive, we live in Pittsburgh here, so having something that's all-wheel drive is always good for those snowy winter days. It's like $35,000 for the equivalent vehicle. It's like, so I just don't get it. Like, so basically what we decided was we were going to basically limp her car along until literally it does not run anymore. And I told my mechanic today, I said, it'll eventually all be new. I put new rotors, new tires, new shocks, new struts.
They never seem to work as well, though.
It does not, yeah.
Especially rotors. Have you ever noticed that? After the first...
They never...
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now I just sank about $1,000 into the old Subi. We call her the Green Monster.
Fortunately, you make mad podcast money.
Money.
So that's like chump change to you.
Yeah. So right now we're gonna limp it along. But if anybody has any car recommendations out there, we live in Pittsburgh. We need something all-wheel drive. Give me a recommendation. Love to hear. I'm not a big Honda fan, but Honda CR-V, Toyotas. I like my truck.
Your truck.
I'd love to hear some folks' thoughts on that.
I mean, everybody who has a Subaru always gets another Subaru, it seems.
Yeah, we
They're
do. I had
very
two.
Sticky.
Yeah, they're very sticky.
Yeah.
Very.
Interesting. Well, sorry about the car prices, Luke.
It's bananas.
I hope something happens
I do
that
too.
You can get a cheaper car.
Yeah, me too.
Kia. Get a Kia. No? Guess we lost another sponsor. All right. So let's move on to some history of the prizes. What do you say?
Shoot.
And then just a whole bunch of fun facts. How about that?
Yep, I love fun facts.
The first Nobel Peace Prize went to the Swiss Jean-Henri Dunant for his role in founding the International Red Cross movement.
Nice.
And initiating the Geneva Convention.
I think that's where you treat people well.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what that is.
And jointly given to French pacifist Frédéric Passy, founder of the Peace League and active with some other alliance, and that was good for him.
Okay.
Right? The Nobel Committee for Physics Prize shortlist cited Wilhelm Röntgen's discovery of X-rays and Philip Leonard's work with cathode rays, and they selected the dude that did X-rays for the physics prize. Chemical thermodynamics won the chemistry one first off. Sully. So this one, I think this is really interesting to me. So before we talk about who won, the literature one is always a fight.
Really?
And people get mad and they protest or they won't accept it or they like step down, all about who wins these stupid literature ones.
Really?
I guess I shouldn't say stupid. It's not nice. Yeah. So apparently they're just real feisty, you know?
Okay.
So this Swedish Academy chose the poet Solly Prudhomme for the first Nobel Prize in Literature. And I was like, I don't know who that is.
Sully, he's the guy that landed the plane on the Hudson.
I think that was him as well.
Okay.
I don't think that was him as well. So they got all angry because some people are saying he was just like a mediocre poet at best and blah, blah, blah. And a group including 42 Swedish writers, artists, and literary critics protested the decision because they expected Leo Tolstoy to be awarded
Good old Tolstoy.
But, you know, War and Peace is kind of famous, so maybe that would have been a better selection, but he did not win it, so that was unfortunately. So apparently they're always feisty about this, and they have a bunch of other times where they got all into fights and protests.
Well, if you think
like
about
that.
it, you know, like all of the science ones are probably pretty easy to like specifically point to a discovery or something like that, but literature and peace, those are very, you know, opinionated. Like if you get 10 people in a room, they're going to have 10 different opinions on
even the same book, right?
Yeah, who the most peaceful person is or who the most literary impact person is. So
yeah. The one for medicine, the first one was given to a German, Emil von Behring.
Yep, you nailed it.
I am really good
As
today,
usual.
right?
Yep.
Developed an antitoxin to treat diphtheria, which seems pretty good. It was killing thousands of people each year until this. So that's a pretty good discovery to get an award for, right? And you did mention that in World War II, we just stopped handing them out. Do you think it was because, you know, because of the war, like keeping everyone busy, or do you think they were like, we probably shouldn't do it because of the war?
It's probably a little bit of both. Number one, they may not have had the cash because of the war. Number two, a lot of the stuff that they were working on was to support the war effort. You know, they were inventing and working on technology and science that was like involved in like killing people. So
Yeah.
that's my guess.
Okay. So I have a bunch of times that it caused fights. Do you want to talk about anything else?
So I have a couple other kind of fun statistical stuff.
Ooh, give me some stats.
The youngest in physics was William Bragg. He was 25 back in 1915. The youngest in literature is Rudyard Kipling in 1907. He was 41. I mentioned Malala. That was back in 2014. She was 17. In economics and science, this is crazy that the youngest economic and science one, the cat's 50, Kenneth Arrow.
Wow, that is old.
Now let's go the other way. Let's go the oldest people. This is crazy. 96-year-old person.
96?
This is the oldest winner, period. Arthur Ashkin won for physics just this year, 2018.
Last year.
Last year, because, sorry. Who is still working at 96 years old on physicsy stuff?
I mean, I don't know if I even want to be alive at 96.
Oh,
so
my goodness. So the youngest person on their oldest person list is 85, and this is Willard Boyle. This is actually relatively recent to physics in 2009, which is super crazy.
That's really funny.
These folks are that old, and they're still working on making the world a better place.
Wow.
52 women have won the Nobel Peace Prize since...
Nobel Peace Prize?
I'm sorry, Nobel Prize in general. Sorry, the Nobel Prize in general. Between, obviously, when it started up until 2018. And the only woman to win it twice, our good friend of the show, Marie Curie. She
Maria.
won it twice. Yeah, Maria. She won it for chemistry and physics.
Very cool.
Which one was first?
Physics.
Very good.
I remember 30 minutes ago. All right. So a couple examples of when things weren't all hunky-dory here. So I told you that literature gets a little feisty, but the Peace Prize does as well. One guy rejected it, though his family tried to get his money. Another guy, Pablo Neruda, wanted the Nobel Prize so much that he actually started wining and dining Swedish writers and academics, and he finally won one. He basically bribed his way into winning a Nobel Prize in 1971. Bob Dylan has been nominated 6 times. Bob Dylan.
The singer?
Yeah.
It's got to be
Isn't
for
that weird?
peace, right?
Yeah, we'll go with that. Henry Kissinger and Lee Duc-tho shared the 1973 Peace Prize for negotiating the end of the Vietnam War.
That's a pretty good one.
The Vietnamese guy rejected the award, though, saying that there was no peace in his country. Kissinger's acceptance caused an uproar because apparently the former National Security Advisor's role in the secret war against Cambodia and the overthrow of the Chilean government didn't sit well.
Wow.
I mean, that's kind of a burn.
Lee Duc, though,
1994, Yasser Arafat. I remember this, actually.
Yep.
Boy.
You should.
I was only 12. I mean, not that good. Anyways, him and a couple other folks got the Peace Prize for making peace between Israel and Palestine. Immediately after the award was announced, one of the 5 Norwegian Nobel Committee members denounced Arafat as a terrorist and resigned. So apparently that wasn't cool. Another one more recently, our friend, listener of the show, good friend Barack Obama won the Peace Prize in 2009.
The Baracks.
And I was like, what are people complaining about? I was like, big deal. So Obama won it? Well, that's kind of odd because nominations had closed only 11 days after Obama took office. So people are kind of like, so what exactly was it that he's done already?
Within the 11 days.
Yeah. So a lot of people felt he didn't deserve it. And he himself even said he did not feel like he deserved the award and wasn't worthy to take it. But he did anyways.
We had 3 Nobel laureates, as they're called, that were actually serving time or
Oh,
in
no.
prison or incarcerated.
Oh, that makes sense.
During their and most of these were, I'm guessing these were peace
Political,
prizes.
yeah.
It says peace prizes for all of them. So some German pacifist, Karl von something I can't pronounce.
Ostitsky.
You got it. A Burmese politician,
Aung Suu Kyi.
You got it. And
Fancy.
Chinese human rights activist Liu Xiaobo. I'm going
Good
to
job.
say. Yeah, so could you imagine, like, you're in jail and you're getting $1 million prize or whatever the equivalent is whenever they were receiving it, and you're just sitting in the slammer.
Yeah, that's rough. Maybe you can pay your way out
really
then with
rough.
all that money. I wonder if you get the money then. So a few more things. The Nobel documents are sealed for 50 years, so by time you can actually look at them, all the controversy's blown over.
Okay.
Out of 210 laureates in physics, 181 in chemistry, and 216 in medicine, there have only been 3 females in physics, 5 chemistry, and 12 in medicine that have won. So a little lopsided. We got to work on that committee. And also, if you want to win, like one of us, 77% of the physics prizes have gone to discoveries as opposed to the other 23% that went to inventions.
Interesting.
So I have some interesting winners here. You want to
Shoot.
hear?
I'd love to hear him.
Obama, 09. Jimmy Carter, 02. Kofi Annan, 01 for the UN. Nelson Mandela in 93. Mother Teresa, 79. Anwar Sadat in 78. MLK Jr. in
Nice.
64. Jane Addams. I thought it was interesting because it was a woman way back in 1931.
Okay.
Woodrow
Good
Wilson.
old Woody.
Theodore Roosevelt. We mentioned Marie Curie twice. Albert Einstein. I didn't realize. Hey, yeah, represent. And Ernest Hemingway won as well. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is that they don't always get it right. And why do I say that? Well, it turns out that Gandhi never won the Peace Prize.
Really?
Which seems crazy town to me. And he was actually nominated and still didn't win, which the committee has actually looked back and said...
How does that happen?
Yeah.
Well, he's dead now, so you said they can't
Well, now
be-
they can't, right.
Yeah, now you got to be living.
Right. So they said that that was a mistake. And later on, when the 14th Dalai Lama was awarded the prize in 89, the chairman said this is in part a tribute to the memory of
That's
Gandhi
nice.
as well.
Tell you what, if I ever win a Nobel Prize, James, it'll be in part with and because of you, and I'll note that in my acceptance speech.
Thanks, man. I think we're probably going to pull one in this year.
I think so too. I think literature. You're right. We're gonna get this for literature because I feel like we're contributing to the world.
Which it's funny because I hate reading. So it's good that we're winning it for literature.
Okay.
Hopefully people learned a lot. I thought this was a really interesting topic. His history, Elfie's history, was really cool. How you actually win one, what you get. Really
My biggest
cool.
thing was all the different ones. Like, you always hear Nobel Peace Prize. That's kind of all you
It is.
hear.
Yeah, it seems like the big one.
Yeah, but then it's like chemistry, physics, science,
yeah.
medicine, economics. I didn't realize there was, like 5 or 6 of these. I thought it was just Peace Prize and just you got to like be a good person.
I thought it was interesting that the economics one showed up later.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's add that because they deserve an award too. Everyone gets a trophy.
I feel like that goes under peace, really.
Economics goes
Yeah,
under
like
peace.
like
Bribing
making
people.
making the world a better place via economics is all about, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
Well, hopefully you all enjoyed this and will learn something. If you want to nominate us and you're on the committee, please do. We're looking for a Nobel Prize.
For sure.
All right. Well, until next time.
See ya.